Okay, so now we're going to talk about organizing qualitative data. Well, first you have to know about what is qualitative data. Qualitative means you're classifying of individuals based on characteristics. Um, you have qualitative data and then you have quantitative data, which we'll talk about later. You really have to know the difference between the two. Right now we're going to focus on qualitative, and then in a little while we'll focus on quantitative, but on your test I'm going to throw them all together, so you have to be able to distinguish between the two. A lot of people see qualitative data as, like, for example, if I were classifying you as male or female, well, that's data and it's qualitative because I'm basing you on a characteristic. Ethnicity, that's qualitative data. So everyone's like, oh, cool. Well, qualitative is just like naming, and then quantitative is numbers. But that's not necessarily true either, y'all. Your social security number, that's qualitative data. Your social security number doesn't mean anything. It's not a value. It's not like money. It's just because your social is 654321 doesn't mean you have that much money. It doesn't mean you're poor or you're rich. It doesn't mean anything. It's just a label. So your social security number is actually qualitative data. Okay, so just think of it that way. If it's a number, does the number actually have a meaning? Something else I can give you is like numbers on jerseys of sports players, basketball players, football players. Those numbers don't mean anything. If you're number 99, does that mean you're the best player because you have a bigger number? Does that make sense? Does that mean that you make more money? No, it doesn't mean anything. It just classifies you, okay? So that's also qualitative data. So that's just something that I just wanted to kind of warn you about, because a lot of people see a number and they think automatically it's quantitative, and that's not true. So just be really careful. Okay, so y'all are gonna have a blast with this homework. It's super easy. You're just learning to read graphs. You know, I'm trying to see if you know how to read bar graphs and pie graphs and things like that. So just reading graphs at first. But then I'm going to go into relative frequencies. Well, frequency distribution is, you've done it. Everyone's done it. Everyone's made like a tally list. Do you know what I mean? Like, puts categories and then tallies. Those are actually frequency distributions. You list the categories out and then you list the number of occurrences in each category. Well, a relative frequency, it kind of gives you a perspective. It takes a frequency and divides it by the sum of frequencies, kind of puts it in 100% scale. You know what I mean? If you're going to roll a die 1,000,000 times, well, then you're saying, oh, well, I landed on 645,000 times. Great. What percentage of 1,000,000 is that, real quick? Like, I don't know. You know, it's hard to tell. So when you have that much data, it's really best if you put it into relative frequency. So you can kind of get, oh, I landed on it like 60% of the time. Like, oh, okay, I get that. So you landed on it most often. You know what I mean? So let's make a frequency table and see how we do. Okay, let's say we had a survey, and the survey asked, how often do you eat out? You had to choose one of these categories. Never, rarely, sometimes, most of the time, always. And so you went around and asked all these people. 240 people said never, 299 people said rarely, 909 people said sometimes, 402 people said most of the time, and 37 people said always. Now, here is your category. Here is your frequency. That's an F. Okay, so here's your category and there's your frequency. Now, I want you to construct a relative frequency distribution of the data. So this is a table. So now I want relative frequency. Well, before you can make the relative frequency part of the table, you need a total. So you're going to add up all of the frequencies, and I find out that I actually interviewed 1,887 people. But as you can see, that's not like a clean, even number. And in real statistics, it never really is, you guys. You know, you're going to ask who you can ask. So you asked 1,887 people. So then your relative frequency, all you have to do is you take your frequency and divide it by your total. And let's go ahead and round to 3 decimal places. So I'm going to take 240 divided by 1,887, and that is going to be 0.127. And that's how you do it. And by doing the same technique for the rest of the responses, these are the values that I got: 0.158 for rarely, 0.482, 0.213, and 0.020. Now, these are decimals, but of course you all know how to change a decimal into a percentage by just moving the decimal over 2 spots. So if I told you what percentage of respondents said always, what percentage said always, you can just move this over 2 times to become a percentage. 2% of the people that we interviewed said that they always eat out. Okay. What if I asked you what percentage said never or rarely? They eat out never or rarely. Well, you would take never or rarely and add them together. So you have 12.7 for never, 15.8. Add them together, you get 28.5%. 28.5% of the people you interviewed rarely or never eat out. Okay? All right, guys, that's pretty much it for qualitative data. If you have any questions, just let me know.